This press conference is called mainly to send a clear message to the international community and certainly to the Canadian government to intervene to cease the massacre happening in Gaza. This press conference is called to remind the international community that a crime is committed as we speak in front of our eyes, and it's time to stop it. It's time to open the border, to let the relief aid and food, medical supply to reach the civilian in Gaza. It's time to engage the Palestinian population in meaningful and long-lasting peace process, and it's time to stop the illegal occupation of Palestine. I have with me some people representing different groups in our community. They will take a few minutes, 5 minutes max each, to make an opening statement, and of course they will take your question. In the room we have also different representatives of community organization, but also expert people who work on a regular basis to try to send aid and food to the Gazan people, people who knows about the situation of children, people who understand also the medical catastrophe happening there. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Rafeef to come and address you very quickly. She will introduce herself. She's a third-generation Palestinian living here in Canada, and she will represent the Palestine House.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. As we speak today, over 400 Palestinians have been killed. 400 human beings, women, children, fathers, mothers, sisters, have been killed. They no longer exist with us on this planet because of the massacres that the Israeli apartheid regime is committing against the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. As many as 2,000 others have been injured, and the threat of further killings hangs heavily as Israel is refusing a 48-hour humanitarian ceasefire and is mobilizing for what now appears to be the inevitable ground invasion. This assault is collective punishment. 1.5 million people live in the Gaza Strip, the world's largest open-air prison. This is nothing but a crime against humanity. What is being committed are war crimes against the Palestinian people. Gaza has been under an illegal and internationally condemned siege since April of 2006. With little reprieve, this siege has restricted all flow of aid, medical supplies, fuel, and other necessities of life into the territory. This latest military assault has created a humanitarian catastrophe. Unfortunately, the Canadian government, which is supposed to represent all of us, has not condemned Israel's clear violation of international law and war crimes in the Gaza Strip, this is consistent with the support, unconditional, that the Canadian government under Harper has given to the Israeli state. We are thus, as Arab Canadians calling and Palestinian Canadians calling on the Canadian government to act immediately and demand that Israel halt their aggression against the Palestinian population of Gaza. Canada must also demand that Israel end the siege on Gaza and open the borders to allow for food, medicine, water, and other essentials to go into the territory. United Nations Human Rights Rapporteur in the occupied territories, Richard Falk, spoke directly to foreign governments like Canada, saying, "The Israeli airstrikes today and the catastrophic human toll that they caused challenge those countries that have been and remain complicit, either directly or indirectly, in Israel's violations of international law. The complicity includes those countries who have supported and participated in the siege of Gaza that itself has caused a humanitarian catastrophe." We hear very often that this is a war. This is not a war between two equal sides. This is a massacre against the defenseless people who have no way of leaving the Gaza Strip. We hear that Israel disengaged from the Gaza Strip, but they still control the airspace. They still control the borders. What is happening today shows that the Gaza Strip is still occupied. Again, 1.5 million people are just trapped in there like rats for Israeli military, all equipped and trained, the fourth military in the world, trained and equipped by governments like the United States to do anything they want to a civilian population that has no way of defending themselves. Palestinian civil society have called on all of us around the world to join in a campaign of boycott, divestment, and sanctions. Because if our governments are not going to do anything, then it is up to us as citizens to do something. It is up to us to demand that our government sanction the apartheid state of Israel until it stops its murder of civilians in the Gaza Strip. Father Brockman, President of UN General Assembly, boldly said that everyone should call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. That is the least we can do in front of the crimes that are being committed. The demands of the coalition that is speaking before you today are very clear. We are calling on all Canadians to demonstrate against the Israeli assault on Gaza and to rally the Canadian government to condemn Israel's war crimes, to lift the siege on the people of Gaza, and to cut Canada's military and economic ties with Israel until such time that it complies with international law. Nothing more, nothing less, just complies with international law. People will demonstrate and march in Toronto this coming Saturday, January 3rd, 2009, at Dundas Square, starting at 2 p.m. We ask everyone to join us in condemning these massacres. We thank those who stand with us, and we hope that the new year holds better news for the Palestinian community here. Thank you.